A searing pain shot through my hand, catching me completely off guard. It felt like a jolt of electricity, a sudden and intense shock that made me gasp, instantly followed by a burning sensation that spread like wildfire, consuming my entire hand. I knew in that split second, even before I saw the tiny stinger embedded in my skin, that I had been stung. The bee flew away, leaving me with a throbbing reminder of its presence. Little did I know this was just the beginning of an ordeal that would push me to my absolute limit, both physically and mentally. I've always been drawn to adventure, to the thrill of the unknown, and the excitement of discovery. Pushing my boundaries and testing my limits in the wild has always been my passion. This time, my quest for adrenaline had led me to the foot of a towering oak tree, its ancient branches reaching towards the sky. The branches were heavy with the promise of a golden treasure, a massive beehive glistening in the sunlight. The air hummed with the activity of thousands of bees, each one contributing to the hive's bustling ecosystem. Their collective buzz was a symphony of nature's industrious spirit, a reminder of the delicate balance of life in the wild. The sight of the honeycomb glistening under the sun filled me with a primal urge. It was a symbol of nature's bounty, and I was determined to taste its sweetness. I knew the risks involved, of course. Bees are fiercely protective of their hives, and approaching them is akin to stepping into a lion's den. But the thrill of the challenge, the allure of the unknown, was too strong to resist. I secured my rope, double-checking the knots, my heart pounding with anticipation. The rough bark of the oak bit into my hands as I started my ascent, each pull bringing me closer to the buzzing hive. The air grew thick with the scent of honey, and the constant drone of the bees intensified, a clear warning that I was entering their domain. The climb was arduous, the branches swaying precariously under my weight. Sweat stung my eyes, but I dared not let go. The bees were becoming increasingly agitated, their buzzing taking on a sharper, more urgent tone. I could see their tiny bodies flitting around the hive, their movements becoming more erratic with each passing moment. Ignoring the growing unease in my gut, I continued my ascent, my focus narrowing to the prize. The honeycomb was now within reach, its golden surface shimmering enticingly. I extended my hand, my fingers brushing against the sticky surface. It was then that it happened. Section 4. A Sea of Buzzing Fury. The first sting, the one that had sent that initial jolt of pain through me, was followed by another, and then another. Each sting felt like a tiny explosion, a burst of fire on my skin, and I could feel the venom spreading, making my muscles twitch uncontrollably. The air around me transformed into a sea of buzzing fury as the entire swarm descended upon me. It was as if the very atmosphere had turned hostile, filled with the angry hum of thousands of wings beating in unison. Panic surged through me, cold and sharp, as I realized the gravity of my situation. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing the frantic buzzing around me. I could feel my breath quicken, my chest tightening with fear. I was trapped high above the ground at the mercy of thousands of angry bees. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The ledge I stood on felt precarious, and the thought of falling only added to my terror. Their stings were relentless, each one a searing white-hot poker stabbing into my flesh. The pain was unbearable, a constant throbbing agony that seemed to consume my entire being. My vision blurred, my body convulsing with each agonizing sting. I could feel the venom coursing through my veins, making my limbs heavy and my movements sluggish. The buzzing intensified, a deafening roar that seemed to reverberate through my very bones. It was an overwhelming, all-encompassing sound that drowned out everything else, leaving me disoriented and helpless. I thrashed about, desperate to break free from the living nightmare, but my efforts only seemed to incite the bees further. Each movement felt futile, as if I were trapped in a never-ending cycle of pain and fear. The more I struggled, the more vicious their attacks became, and I realized that my only hope was to somehow find a way to calm down and think clearly. Section 5. The Science of Pain. Each bee sting delivered a potent dose of venom, a cocktail of proteins and enzymes designed to inflict pain and deter attackers. This venom triggers an inflammatory response in the body, causing the affected area to swell and redden. For some, bee stings can trigger severe allergic reactions, leading to anaphylactic shock, a life-threatening condition that requires immediate medical attention. As I hung there, engulfed in a cloud of buzzing chaos, I could feel the venom coursing through my veins, its effects taking hold. My heart raced, my breathing became shallow and labored. Dizziness washed over me in waves, and the world around me began to spin. I knew I had to get down and fast before the venom overwhelmed my system. Section 6. Nature's Lesson. Summoning the last reserves of my strength, I fought my way through the swarm, ignoring the searing pain that ripped through my body with every sting. Each step felt like an eternity, my vision blurred by the sheer number of bees surrounding me. Their relentless buzzing was deafening, a constant reminder of the peril I was in. I could feel the venom coursing through my veins, my muscles screaming in protest, but I knew I had to keep moving. The forest, once a place of solace, had turned into a battleground, and I was fighting for my very survival. I rappelled down the tree trunk, the rough bark scraping against my skin, a small price to pay for escaping the angry horde. The descent was treacherous, each movement calculated to avoid further injury. My hands, raw and bleeding, gripped the bark with a desperation I had never known. The ground seemed so far away, yet I knew it was my only chance at safety. Every inch closer to the forest floor felt like a victory, a step away from the chaos above. Reaching the safety of the forest floor, I collapsed, my body racked with pain and exhaustion. The cool earth beneath me was a welcome relief, a stark contrast to the fiery torment of the stings. I lay there, gasping for breath, my mind racing with the events that had just unfolded. The forest, now silent, seemed to be holding its breath, as if waiting for my next move. As I lay there, catching my breath, the enormity of what had just transpired washed over me. The bees had defended their home with a ferocity I had underestimated. I had intruded upon their world, and they had responded with a force that left me humbled. The pain was a reminder of my folly, a lesson etched into my very being. I had been foolish, arrogant even, to think I could so easily plunder the bees' treasure without consequence. My hubris had led me to believe I was invincible, that I could bend nature to my will. But nature had a way of reminding us of our place, of showing us that we are but a small part of a much larger whole. The bees had taught me that lesson in the most painful way possible. They had taught me a valuable lesson that day, a stark reminder that nature is not to be trifled with. It is a force to be respected, a delicate balance that we must strive to maintain. The bees in their fury had shown me the power of unity, of working together to protect what is theirs. It was a lesson I would not soon forget. It demands respect, and those who fail to heed its warnings do so at their own peril. The forest, the bees, all of nature, they are not ours to command. We are guests in their world, and we must tread lightly with reverence and humility. The consequences of forgetting this can be dire, as I had learned firsthand. So I ask you, dear reader, would you dare to tempt fate and face the wrath of 1,000 angry bees? Would you risk the fury of nature for a fleeting reward? Remember, the lessons of the forest are hard-earned, and the price of arrogance can be steep. Respect nature, and it will respect you in return.